Good morning, crypto warriors, and welcome back to the Gentlemen of Crypto, episode 214. Today is Thursday, July 26th, and I'm King. Of course, Bitcoin Zay is out and about this week, so I am holding it down until he gets back. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's hand out these free Satoshis. We only had a couple answers yesterday. Of course, I asked again, if you were to ask somebody under the Crypto 40 under 40 list who wasn't already there, who would it be? The winner is Torrance J Playlist. He said he would go with Justin Sun, who does deserve it. Justin Sun, of course, invented Tron. He was able to hype in his highly volume traded token up to $1 billion, TRX token that is, and then bring more people into crypto and acquire BitTorrent all within under a year. So not for Tron itself, which I agree with them, not because he invented Tron. Anybody can invent tokens, literally teenagers invent tokens. But the fact he was able to bring that trading value up to $1 billion. Then also the acquisition of BitTorrent, which is huge. I mean, if you remember, BitTorrent at one point controlled 40% of all internet searches and browsing activity and all that good stuff. So to be able to acquire something like that all under a year, that is a big deal. So we'll make sure we get that to you, Torrance J Playlist. And shout out to Sergeant Crypto. He also said, the Gentleman of Crypto, he said since he started reading our newsletters, he's made his money back already, and that he lost from last year, and then even listening to us as well. So much appreciated that, but we still got some work to do before we can climb up on that list, but we are coming. Good morning, D True. Milto, what's going on? Tessa, good morning. Good morning. Antonio, hello, hello. All right, so without further ado, let's hop into these top stories. Again, it's not a lot because the price of Bitcoin has been holding. If the price would have dropped down below 8,000 again, I'm sure we had hundreds of stories to choose from. But right now the price is holding. So we're gonna get started with the Dino of the day. Again, this guy we're about to announce here has actually been the Dino of the day before. I think maybe once or twice. And he's back again. That's Mastercard CEO who attacks cryptocurrencies again. He branded them junk. Here's his picture. If you want to see him, memorize his face. When you see him, you can throw a tomato. Just kidding. But the president and CEO of Mastercard, AJ Banga, has used the J word again. It looks like, speaking in New York, Banga termed cryptocurrencies junk, arguing that the factors that made them unqualified to be mediums of exchange include their anonymous nature and the wild fluctuations they experience. He's quoted as saying, "I think cryptocurrency is junk. The ideal of an anonymized currency produced by people who have to mine it, the value of which can fluctuate wildly, that to me is not the way any medium of exchange deserves to be considered a medium of exchange." Again, this sounds like someone, and you know what, just to preface it, all these people know what they're talking about, at least a little bit, but they're not going to admit that because Bitcoin eats away at their business. Now, you got to ask yourself, why would the president and CEO of Mastercard, who's already discredited cryptocurrencies, who's already very wealthy, has a very, quote unquote successful and booming business, why would he even mention Bitcoin? Could it be that his servers to Mastercard just went down 2 or 3 days ago? If you remember, we covered that here when Mastercard had an outage across the United States and Europe. We showed you that heat map where literally Mastercard was down everywhere, and their Twitter account got trolled by everyone in the crypto community saying, hey, this wouldn't happen with Bitcoin. These things don't happen with the blockchain, all that good stuff. So now all of a sudden he comes back 2 or 3 days later and says, all cryptocurrencies are junk. I mean, they make no sense. Again, he sounds like the old guy, and we're talking about the mentally old guy in the room who has no clue what he's talking about. He doesn't use any technological or scientific evidence. Again, we're dealing with numbers when we talk about Bitcoin and blockchain tech, using the Bitcoin blockchain. We're talking about numbers here, zeros and ones. We're talking about things that have been coded. You can look at this stuff. You can say yes or no, this is factual or incorrect. This isn't any make-believe thing. So for him to say, well, I think it's junk because it's anonymous, again, that's a feature. It should be anonymous. And it's junk because people have to mine it. Again, that's how you show that it's value. Anybody just can't print it out like we do with fiat currency. The reasons why he said it's junk are actually the reasons why people like it. So again, it's one of those people who says all the negative stuff. Again, he says it after things like his entire company has an outage in some of the biggest areas is being used at. And then also, we talked about who is making the blockchain patents. I think it was yesterday. We were saying, hey, these are the top companies that are patented. Mastercard is one of the top companies on that list. I think they had like 35 patents on blockchain technology. So you're saying cryptocurrencies are junk, but you're trying to patent everything available to patent on the blockchain tech side of things, even though it's open source and it's free for everyone. You're trying to keep it to yourself. And then Bitcoin has been doing a better job than Mastercard as of late, yet you're calling all of that junk as well. So, yeah, clearly, what's his name? AJ Banga. While we know he knows what he's talking about, he's going to act the part like he does it. And because of that, we're going to go ahead and give him that loud roar. Oh, man. It's an awesome sound, people. A couple more times. Oh, this is one more time for this guy. Since he wanted, this is the second or third time. We're going to give him 2 or 3. Again, this makes no sense, but this is what you're coming to see. And again, he's not doing anything illegal, maybe immoral, but this is a private company. He's allowed to say what he wants to say. But this is the person at the head of a company. I've never had a Mastercard, but if you have one now, I mean, looking at their outages and looking at how strong crypto is doing, I think it's about time to cut ties. I mean, this is the CEO who's basically, instead of telling you why he had an outage, you know, they came out on Twitter and said we had an outage and we're working on it. He didn't come out and speak about his outage. So you don't want to come out and talk about what's going on with your company, but you want to talk about an entire another industry that you claim is junk. If it's junk, why do you talk about it? I don't talk about things that are junk. I just don't. I don't talk about things that's going on in the junkyard. I don't talk about things that doesn't apply to me. And this is actually a really good statement that he made because, you know, I was just in church yesterday and the message was working on your own weaknesses. Don't worry about everybody else's. Make sure you find the strength in your weakness. Well, this person doesn't even talk about what's going on in their own company. You just had an outage. You're talking about something that does not apply to you. So again, he is the Dino of the day. Yes, Milto said he is quietly accumulating junk. Of course, that's what I said. I mean, look, these people, they're not the smartest when it comes to cryptocurrency as far as what's going on, but they know value when they see it. They're definitely out there going for it. Ghost Acosta, good morning. Crypto Q, what's going on? God TV, Crypto Key, everybody in here. Yeah, so that is our day. Today's Dino. All right. US CFTC chairs, of course, the Commodities and Futures Trading Committee. We need to test blockchain because we are 4 years behind. Finally, someone admitted it, right? If it isn't about time. Basically, this article goes on to talk about how the CFTC had their congressional hearing yesterday, Wednesday, July 25th, and the chairman emphasized the need for appropriate procedures that would enable the CFTC to examine innovative blockchain tech for potential future use cases. So what's going on here, a lot of people don't know is that, the reason why a lot of our government regulators are so behind is because they can't test these products. And they can't, it was, I guess, suggested in the meeting and the hearing, hey, can't you just work with a startup in the fintech community and figure out what's going on? And the answer to that is no, because by working with them and receiving that free information and receiving that free teaching and those free lessons, that's actually considered a gift to the government. And again, I worked in PR in the military. And I remember depending on your rank, you can only have like a certain amount of gifts, the monetary value. And I think when I worked for a captain, it was about $25 or $30. That's it. $25 or $30 coming from wherever it comes from. That's all you're allowed to have. We got to copy it. We got to send it up, send it in to, to our, those who are senior over us, send it to the Pentagon. So it's transparent that, hey, we received this $25 or $30 gift from this organization or this person for our command or for our captain, whatever. This works the same way. Government positions can only receive certain amounts of gifts, certain numbers as far as the worth of them, and they can't just go into a new startup. Of course, not sure which startup would really want to work with the government. I'm assuming the ones who would be a part of the diddly gang, but they can't even strong arm their way into a startup and say, well, we're just going to watch and see how they do everything in the crypto space and the fintech space because it'd be considered a gift. So they're looking for the workaround of that. Of course, they're finding ways to say, well, if we do it like this and not necessarily considered a gift, so they are working on the workarounds. But what's important is a quote, I guess, that came out of this meeting that said, we're falling behind. Just 2 days ago, the bank, and this is the chairman, he was quoted saying this, we're falling behind. Just 2 days ago, the Bank of England announced that they're putting in a new bank-to-bank payment system in the UK. And it's not going to be blockchain, and it's going to be blockchain compliant. Or he said it's going to be blockchain compliant. And they've had the last 4 years to participate in all these blockchain beta tests that we've not been able to participate in. So I feel like we're 4 years behind because we do need to test it. We need to see how it can help us do a better job as a regulator. So much nonsense in there. Of course, just to talk about the biggest thing, he ended it with, we need to see how it can help us do a better job as a regulator. No, as a government employee, as a public employee that works for private citizens, you should be asking yourself, we need to see how it works so we could know if we even need to be a regulator. Do we even need to regulate this market? That's what you need to see, not you already have it made up in your mind, we're going to be a regulator. This is the same thing back at CIAA in March when we were in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I went to go talk to the FINRA regulators. You know, they had the booth set up, and literally the guy admitted that he had no clue what cryptocurrency is. And this is still saved in our YouTube videos if you go back. Sometime in March, when we did the CIAA live stream. But he literally admitted he had no clue really what crypto was, how it works, any of the pertinent information about the technology. He just knew that they needed to regulate it. That was the only thing he kept saying, we got to regulate it. Well, do you know what it is, how it works? Have you made a transaction? What does it do? Nope, don't know any of the things you just asked me, but what I do know is that we need to regulate it. Again, it is corruption like right in front of us. It's ridiculous. Then going back to his comment about the Bank of England, this is something we told everyone years ago, was that, hey, we're getting surpassed. These other countries will come out in front of us when it comes to this new technology because we are trying to ignore it. We're trying to criminalize it, and now we're trying to regulate it. You talk about catching up to the Bank of England. We're not going to catch up, but we keep trying to regulate it because the Bank of England, or excuse me, England as a whole, has decided to slow play the regulations. As many other countries in Western Europe, they've decided to slow play regulating cryptocurrency or even commenting on it because they don't know what it is yet. You know, they've had 4 years ahead of us. They better tested it, and they decided, hey, let's not regulate it right now. Hey, let's slow play this thing. Hey, let's not criminalize it. Let's just see what happens. We're 4 years behind, and we're criminalizing it. We're regulating it. We're letting people like the Mastercard CEO, who just had an outage last week, which to me should come under some type of regulatory scrutiny. Why is a company of that size allowed to go dark, and they have no scrutiny under them? No fines, none of this stuff that you're saying that the crypto community needs, where we already have one company doing it right in front of us and they're getting away with it. Those are the companies that need to be looked into deeper and regulated. This year, not only are they 4 years behind, for anybody in cryptocurrency, you know, 4 years in crypto is like 12 years. It's a 24/7 market cycle. This isn't your Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 start market. So if you're 4 years behind, you're literally about 8 to 12 years behind, more realistically, because that's how fast people are learning in this space. I mean, literally just 2.5, 3 years ago, we got two-factor authentication via text message. A year later, which really came around early 2017, mid to 2017, it became popular to have the apps for two-factor authentication, Duo app, Google Authenticator, I'm forgetting the other one, Authy. That just came around last year. So you're talking about what we had 4 years ago. They are way behind, too far behind. And again, the only thing they can think of is we need to learn more so we can regulate this thing. Not we need to learn more so we can decide if we need to regulate this thing. I think their focus is off, and because of that, our government regulators will continue to be off when it comes to what to do with crypto. And for us, that's actually a good thing. Jizzy Max said, just call it lobbying instead of gifts, problem solved. So yeah, they basically go into detail. If you all want to read this article on Cointelegraph, they do go into detail about how they're going to restructure the wording so that they can figure out how to get the information. Because again, they can't get it on their own. That's the thing, people. When you talk about these big governments, slow-moving bureaucracies, or even people like Mastercard who have been at the top for way too long, they don't have any more new ideas. Bitcoin Zay says it all the time. That's why they bring young people in. That's why that crypto top 40 under 40 list had the JP Morgan girl on there, and the Goldman Sachs person on there, and some other people who should not have been on there. They're on there because instead of them, well, a couple actually did. I think they saw the writing on the wall, and they were like, why am I working for you all? I'm going to go make a startup in the community itself, because I know the one lady did start, I think it was Clovier or whatever. But yeah, these giants, they don't have any more new ideas, people. And they're so out of touch, they don't know how to read up and research the information to learn about, nor do they want to. Remember, a lot of these people are billionaires, so they can probably care less. So they're trying to hire young people, or they're trying to get private companies to come in and do all the heavy lifting for them. So then they can go back around and say, well, we're actually, thank you for teaching us how to do this. Now we're going to privatize it. We're going to get government regulators behind us and the military behind us. We're going to make it illegal for anybody to compete with us. So it's pretty good. But yeah, you can read the article, and they go into detail about how they're going to make some new word soup in order. I think right here it says, let's see, the CFTC R&D Modernization Act would allow the agency to directly participate in innovative fintech projects without having to pay them and without violating the law and process. So yeah, there you go. They literally just figured out a new act and they said we can use this act here to do exactly what we just a paragraph ago said it was illegal to do. Except this time we can make it legal by using this these words in this act. So yes, they will find a way around it. S1 Dub said they know that there are some use cases for government and private industry, but the vast majority of the most impactful use cases are distributed networks and public blockchains. Exactly. Yeah, Milton said don't ask why regulate, just how. Exactly. And kind of going to this Vice News thing, and of course Vice News is not like what they say is always true and all that good stuff. But this came out yesterday, July 25th, as you can see. And then you know what? I was eating dinner. I was like, let me see what new crypto videos are out there, or crypto stories, or whoever. I like watching Andres Antonopoulos. Everybody knows that. But this Vice News story popped up, and one of the topics was regulating crypto. They also talk about some other things. Uganda social media tax, a couple other things. They talk about Mark Zuckerberg. But here's an important quick scene out. I mean, it was only like a 4 or 5 minute clip they did. But here's an important scene out of it. And again, this is the United States representatives. This is from April 11, 2018. So literally 2 or 3 months ago. It was April, May, June, July. Yeah, 2.5, 3 months ago. These are words that were spoken from our U.S. regulators or congressmen, congressional committees, and regulators. And these are also the same people who are trying to regulate Bitcoin. Let's see how much they know about it.
If you're not listening.
Actually, let me make sure the, there we go, the value is up.
Us on the phone, who is,
given how fast cryptocurrencies are growing, representatives could be headed toward a similar failure if they don't get up to speed soon.
How should regulators think about the function of the token when choosing to apply regulatory requirements?
The underlying token itself should be regulated as if it were a commodity. It's going to be a security depending on its...
Perkins Coie. You remember I told you all about this. Again, shout out to Perkins Coie, one of the biggest law firms out there, definitely one of the biggest on the West Coast. We work with them. They've helped us. But they run it, people. I'm telling you, they run it. And these are the people you need to know about.
Its characteristics. Do you see this insinuating itself into the broader economy? We believe that this really is going to create a whole new set of infrastructure on which all kinds of new applications are built, some of which we may not even know about today.
4% of the addresses hold 97% of the Bitcoin in the world. Is this...
So... again, you just saw the representative said 4% of the Bitcoin addresses own 97% of the Bitcoins in the world. Again, people, that is not true. There are some people who don't even have their, it's not true. For one, some of the addresses, I was gonna say some people not even like keeping their information public as far as that, but some of the addresses are exchange addresses. They're not understanding that. Yes, if Binance, Bittrex, and Coinbase combined, they probably own about 80% of the Bitcoin out there. They're exchanges for everyone, and a lot of people don't know not to leave your money on exchange or your crypto on exchanges, so they do it. I think this guy actually knows. You see the one guy laughing and smiling as she's saying that because he's like, you have no clue what you're talking about. And the other two guys right next to him, they don't know anything either, so they're just kind of looking like maybe she's right.
It's concerning to you, and what should lawmakers be doing?
It's one of the natural ironies because we all, humans, tend towards clusters and clumps and centralization.
There was also another hearing about cryptocurrencies today.
I think if you look at why are cryptocurrencies money?
Congress, in other words, is working on multiple fronts to figure out what cryptocurrencies are and what to do about them. It's not clear that much progress has been made. But for Conway, just getting his colleagues together to talk about these things was at least a step in the right direction.
Now, here's what I really thought was interesting about this video here. If you notice, the people in the crowd and the people asking the questions. I mean, literally, with the exception of the girl with the purple hair, she may have been the youngest person in there, hitting 32, 33, all right? You literally have no one in the actual community there. Again, I shout out Perkins Coie, but at the end of the day, you're talking about some mega law firm there, talking about crypto. Who do you have in there to actually tell you about what's going on? The law firm, again, they do a great job, but their job is to work with these regulators to figure out this middle ground, this compromise to make private companies happy and the regulators happy, all right? And of course, if you don't know, that comes with a hefty charge. I think, just last year, again, we talked about these law firms. There's only about 10 different lawyers. Like I said, about 4 or 5 were there. I think to get a retainer, it was about $25K, people. You're looking at $25,000 just to start talking about cryptocurrency to these people, all right? So it's absurd the fact that they're making these regulatory decisions and they have no one in the room from the actual community. Where are some of the developers that worked on the blockchain? Can we get them in there? Where are some of the people who started some of these startups? Can we get them in there? I mean, at the end of the day, get some of these YouTube influencers. There's some huge ones on that. Let's get some of the crypto people. Let's get Well Panda, you know, but get people from the community. Instead, they literally have people who don't know what they're talking about, being asked questions by people who don't know what they're talking about. And and that's why they can't figure anything out. No one knows what they're talking about, but at the end of the day, they know they need to regulate it. So if you haven't seen it, it might be something cool to check out. Vice news story. And I believe they actually had a second one as well. Oh, they had one about being hacked as well, which kind of goes into it because they talk about Bitcoin and crypto. It was a police station in a small town that got hacked. They thought they were invincible. Then they got hacked a second time. And now they finally said, hey, we don't know what to do with this. They asked for Bitcoin for the ransom. Of course, we didn't want to pay it. But after we realized there was no way to fight this thing, we started paying the ransoms. So even they're at the mercy of a lot of things on the new technological side, and no one wants to admit it. No one wants to go get help. They just want to do the same old thing and say, hey, we know what to do. Jizzy Max said the people who are going to make big crypto decisions are not even noob status. That's the worst part. They're not even noobs. You're right. They are not even noobs yet. John Sieber said address wealth analysis is not possible. It's debunked. Exactly. That's what I was trying to explain. You said that much more eloquently. But yes, people, you can't tell how much money are in different addresses and stuff, or that analysis they always put out the charts. It has been debunked. I would say you can maybe find, maybe a sort of a trend, but you can't, factually say this is how much is going on. Again, when she said the 4% of Bitcoin addresses contain 97% of all Bitcoin, I mean, the fact that no one corrected her in that room tells me no one in that room should be in that room, period. Again, that's been debunked. That's not true. When you talk about those addresses, you're also talking about exchange addresses. No one said that. And so everyone else just walked out of that room saying, well, 4% of all, 97% of all the Bitcoin is being owned by 4% of a few people, whatever, when we all know that's not the truth. It's ridiculous. Kobe Phil said, with House of Representatives, you got to look at donors for influence. These are regular Joes who have the agenda of whomever gives them the money. Of course. And I think it's high time we point that out and we put that on the blockchain, because it's ridiculous that these people are standing there like they're the subject matter experts or they're the decision makers, when in general, if Bitcoin Zay and I were to pump enough money into a few congressional people on both sides of the aisle, you would start hearing what we say to you on an everyday basis getting spit out at these hearings as well. These people are S1 so these people are to be ignored. Does anyone take anything these people say into account when they are making decisions on crypto buying, selling, or trading? No. Yes, Jizzy Max said Vice News are fudding. Yep, they are more Flanders than Ned Flanders, exactly. All right, some good news now, I guess. 12 Bitcoin only can now buy your Antigua citizenship with Bitcoin. With the lowest amount required to become an Antiguan Barbadian, I don't know what that would be, an investment being $100,000 US. You now need only a little over 12 Bitcoins to pay for that at current prices. So it looks like their Citizenship by Investment Program Act was amended by the country's parliament, of course, allowing payments to be made using Bitcoin as well as other cryptocurrencies. So this is one of the things where we talk about the United States is falling behind. Yes, you're falling behind. You got countries saying you can actually buy your citizenship with Bitcoin. Whole different topic, but when it comes to citizenship, unless you're really on the run, or you need this government body to back you, to me this sounds like extortion. It's like moving to a new gang territory and giving them $100,000 to say you're a part of them. Why can't I just move there and put some roots down and then I'm a party? I don't understand that, but whatever. If you want to do it the right way, the diddly gang way, and buy your citizenship, now with 12 Bitcoins, you can do that. And this is one of those things where, Antigua are one of the first few to do it. Of course, you got Malta and Estonia, but we're going to start seeing more of this, people. We are going to start seeing a lot more of this. Give it another couple years. Again, we still haven't seen a financial crisis with Bitcoin. Wait until a financial crisis happens and their fiat currency isn't worth anything. It's going to be countries left and right. You got Bitcoin? Come on over. Yeah. You can buy your citizenship with that. We'll take that. You're going to see that a lot more. So I thought that was a pretty cool story to see. It looks like they're doing this also to improve their country's image. You know, here it's saying that the immutable nature of the blockchain allow for transactions to be traced and would thus serve to soften the reputation of the island state as a tax haven. So, hey, a lot of good stuff going on. The fact that they're even offering this with their program, I think, is big because it's starting to legitimize Bitcoin even more. It's starting to legitimize even crypto more. So when you have people like Mastercard CEO saying, hey, this stuff is junk, what are you thinking? In the same day, you can have an Antigua government say, no, it's not junk. It's actually it's considered valuable, and we'll take it. You know what? And the last thing about that, and it kind of goes back to what our government's been saying, you know, the US CFTC share, as well as Mastercard CEO, when he said the wild fluctuations they experience. You know, I thought about this yesterday. I was going to go get gas. And you in LA, you know, the gas prices wildly fluctuate. I mean, you can be in some parts of the city and gas is right now $3.30 in some parts of the city. You go to other parts of the city and gas is like literally $5, $4.50, $4.59, $4.49, all that. So I was thinking, it's crazy no one says the same thing with gas. Gas is considered valuable. Oil is considered valuable, right? We all use it almost every day, yet its prices fluctuate wildly. I don't know the price of gas today. I don't know the price of gas by tonight. If I go out this afternoon and go out tonight in LA, that price of gas can change anywhere from 15 to 20 cents, depending on, again, what neighborhood, what part of the city you're in. Gas fluctuates wildly, yet we still need to use it. Yet it is still valuable, yet we still use it on an everyday basis. So for all these negative things I hear about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, I literally just look at it the same way as gasoline prices. I'm like, we make gasoline prices work when everyone out there already knows it's no reason why we can't stabilize gasoline prices. All right, keep it at $3 for the next 10 years. Don't make it go higher or lower. Just keep it at an even $3.50. You can stabilize gas prices. We have chosen not to because it's more profitable for private industries and governments not to stabilize the gas prices. But I look at it the same way as Bitcoin, people. Yes, there are wild fluctuation. It goes up and down. People say, well, if I buy this Snickers right now, will I be paying $20,000 for it, $2? I don't know. We'll look at the price that the market decide on at that moment, the same way we do gasoline. When I go to the gas station in the morning, I don't know if I'm going to be buying $3 gas or $5 gas. I know when I get there. I know when I get there and I see what the market has decided. And guess what? I still need that gasoline to get around town, so I'm going to buy it. To me, it's the same thing with cryptocurrency. All these wild fluctuations, it don't mean anything. 1 Bitcoin still equals 1 Bitcoin. The same way 1 gallon of gasoline still equals 1 gallon of gasoline to your car. Your car doesn't care how much money you put into it. They care about the 1 gallon of gasoline that went into it. So to me, it's the same thing, people. I thought that was pretty important to point out that this is like the most random arguments against cryptocurrency. That's what Doug says, selling citizenships, huh? I guess that's one way to feed your economy. I know, right? Can't foreign investors in the United States get green cards too? Yes. Or listen, people, I keep telling you, you can do it my way. If you really want a green card citizenship and you don't want to pay, what you do is you move to Antigua. You use that $100,000 to help all the citizens in your newfound city or neighborhood. And I guarantee when people come knocking to say, hey, you're not a citizen here or whatever, everyone you put that money to use toward, whether it's a business or whatever, they're going to say he's not or she is not going anywhere. They are now an honorary citizen, whether you like it or not. That's all you have to do. You don't have to actually have to buy it, but they want to trick you. Kevin Hodges said they can literally change it on a delivery truck between drops. Exactly. Gasoline prices, it fluctuates wildly again, but 1 gallon of gasoline still equals 1 gallon of gasoline. It doesn't equal whatever dollar amount we place on it. It equals 1 gallon of gasoline. Same as Bitcoin. Last couple of stories. I know we're getting toward that time. Iran is preparing ground for national cryptocurrency to dodge U.S. sanctions. You said LOL the McAfee way. Hey, listen. I always tell people, Delvin feels good to be gangster. It is what it is. All right. So Iran has basically came out and said it confirmed it will press ahead with creating its own state-issued cryptocurrency to circumvent incoming U.S. sanctions. Local media Press TV reported July 25th. Ali Reza Dalaria, probably mispronounced it, Ali Reza Daleri, Deputy for Management and Investment at the Directorate for Scientific and Technological Affairs, said plans for the creation of a working digital currency were already on its agenda. They said, we are trying to prepare the grounds to use a domestic digital currency in the country. He's quoted as saying, this currency will facilitate the transfer of money to and from anywhere in the world. Besides, it can help us at the time of sanctions. All right, a couple things. I get it, and this is why I actually like cryptocurrencies. That yes, countries should not be allowed to sanction other countries, people, any of that when it comes to their ability to move their finances, because that is a slippery slope. Who's to say who is morally right to sanction another country? I mean, somebody made a great point to me years ago. They said China has more people in their country than anywhere else around the world, right? They have over 1 billion people in their country. So if we're just going off the numbers, who's to say anything Chinese people do is wrong? If we're to go off a vote, they have more voters. They're going to win these votes, right? So who's to say the United States is right for sanctioning people or whatever? So I get it. Smart move for Iran. But the bad move is that by making your own cryptocurrency, you already have your own currency, all right? All you're doing is digitizing that even further and saying, you know what, we're not gonna have any fiat money. It's gonna be all digital. If you wanna do this and you want this to be done the right way, you just use Bitcoin. There's no reason to make another currency unless you are trying to pump it and dump it, of course. But Iran is saying, hey, we're just gonna use, so what? If you make your own currency, then the United States is gonna say, hey, we'll trade with everybody except people using that one specific digital currency. So that won't help you. I mean, it looks smart on the outside, but for, if you really look at what it takes for that to be accepted and work around the world, it doesn't matter. I mean, right now you can just use marbles or cheese or gasoline like we just talked about. You don't have to make your own entire new cryptocurrency because it's going to be the same one as you already have. It's going to be centralized. They don't get it. It's centralized. Centralization is what we're trying to get away from. So, yeah, you guys just need to use Bitcoin or some other major. I mean, use Dogecoin. You do better than making your own, right? Dan the Man 03 said, yep, they're digitizing the central bank. Use Bitcoin, but they want to maintain control. Yeah, and even in the, I think I saw a comment that hit it on the head. Yeah, this guy Chris said they don't want to use something like Bitcoin because then they can't inflate it. Iran coin be controlled just like fiat, but you're right, it's incredibly stupid idea because it's only useful if people outside of Iran buy it, which no one will. And then last but not least, to end it, Venezuela, back in the news talking about that Petro dollar. Their new national currency will be tied to the Petro, says the president. It looks like Venezuela is replacing its national currency, the Bolivar, with a new one that will be reportedly be tied to its controversial Petro token. Remember, the Petro token was actually tied to barrels of gasoline. So now you're going to have a new currency tied to the Petro, which is tied to the barrels of gasoline. And again, another pump and dump by the government to try to create money out of thin air. Same thing we just said about Iran. It doesn't matter if you control it. No one will want to buy or trade with it because it won't be worth anything else out there. Just like your own fiat currency isn't worth anything else out there because you're trying to use the same methods. But you're saying, well, instead of having this physical property, we're just going to put it on the internet. That's not how crypto works, people. You're still far, far behind. However, if you use Bitcoin, once again, or even Dogecoin, you won't need that. So I guess shout out to these two governments for trying to circumvent U.S. sanctions and to, reinvent money into their economy. But you're not doing it the right way. You're not doing it the right way, bro. Just not. So that is that. And then let's see. Let's go ahead and figure out what we're going to do for these free Satoshis. Go to chat box. Alex Daly said, told you Bitcoin to the moon. There we go. Kobe Phil says, is there an auger bet when Venezuela goes bankrupt? I don't know, but you know what? That's a good question for our free Satoshis for tomorrow. For the free Bitcoin question today, if you had to make an auger bet, what would it be? What would be a good auger bet that you want to see out there? Again, the ones from yesterday we talked about were, hey, will the president be assassinated by 2018? Would Betty White and I forgot the other guy, would they be dead before the end of the year, which is a terrible bet. But if you had to make an auger bet, what would it be? Again, get creative. It could be whatever you want. You can bet on who the next Dino of the day will be, who catches the next Bitcoin heart attack, which new country tries to invent their own crypto. Make any bet you want. Go ahead and put that in the comment section with your public address, and we will be sure to announce that winner tomorrow and give out that free crypto. There we go, Alex Daly. Betty White living forever. I don't know who would make something like that. What type of monsters are out there? I don't know, but they exist. Other than that, people have a happy Thursday. Oh, that's a good one, just Mac. Might want to throw that in there. Have a happy Thursday, people, and I will see you all tomorrow. Cheers.